Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to our IVOXY Consulting podcast. James Hilliard here. Glad to be on board for this conversation. Today, we are discussing simplifying data management. Our guest is Neil Kassal. He is a senior consultant with IVOXY Consulting. And again, we're going to take about 15 minutes or so. We're going to look at some strategies and best practices today around data storage management. Look, everyone listening knows that data is at the heart of all of our organizations today. It's our lifeblood out there. And the quicker that we can access the data, then we can make decisions about that data that can drive our business forward or keep us from going the wrong direction by quickly getting into that data and realizing, nope, wrong way. Let's reconvene and go a different direction. A lot of tools can help us access that data. We're going to talk about Neil's experience with HPE's line of products like Alletra and Nimble as unified flash and hybrid storage solutions out there that really, again, power data from the edge all the way to the cloud. So Neil, glad to have you on board. A lot of stuff we're going to cover here. I want you to start off first off making the case, because data storage isn't necessarily the sexiest thing out there. And sometimes things like infrastructure and networking, it gets a lot more attention. Want you to kind of make the case on why data storage management is something we can't ignore, why it is so important today.
Data is the lifeblood of businesses. So that's what powers, decision making. It's what powers a lot of, all digital, businesses. So it is pretty much the most valuable asset in any organization.
And that goes across the board, right? Obviously, in the healthcare field, we've got all the medical information that has life-saving information, folks. But hey, look, an architecture firm, a small firm like that, a small manufacturer out there, I mean, data runs across the board for all organizations and really does need to be focused on, needs to be secured, easily accessed, all the things I mentioned in the open.
Yeah, and with ransomware and data breaches kind of becoming, more and more prevalent, managing your data, making sure you have knowledge of when it grows, when it's been compromised, the costs of it, whether you're up in the cloud or you still have on-premises storage or some combination of both. These are all really relevant, really timely things they're going on right now.
And the truth is, every organization has seen this exponential growth in data, again, from the smallest organizations to the largest. And that also increases cost. It can increase costs up there in the cloud when their data is up in the cloud and then wanting to maybe get access to it, sometimes having to pull it back down and repatriate it to some other type of potentially on-premise, again, usage. So there's a lot that needs to be considered. Do you find with a lot of the organizations that your team works with that it's understood that a little more focus needs to be on data storage management these days?
Absolutely. I think just organic growth at a lot of places, causes, some thought to be given to, all right, what's our strategy for growing? How are we going to do this, in a smart fashion, control costs? And, right now, globally, there's a little bit of a market downtrend, right? So how do you do that, when budgets are getting tighter, costs are being really scrutinized by, upper management?
I mentioned that we would talk about some of the HPE tools out there and what they offer and your experience with them. So the first is kind of, when did you become part of utilizing and really relying on HPE tools out there? How did you compare, right, to other offerings and say, you know what, these are the ones that we really think are going to benefit customers out there and the folks that we're interacting with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my kind of career on the other side of the fence. I was an administrator for a few decades, and in 2014, kind of made the shift over to the other side of the fence. Started working for partners, OEM partners, and whatnot. And I worked for a little company called Fusion.io out of Cottonwood Heights, Utah, and we made a little PCIe card that plugged into servers and could act as either a cache or a data storage device. And we had a partnership with HPE for that IO drive and IO Drive 2 adapter that was sold in a lot of ProLiant servers. So, helping out customers with that, traveling around. I lived in Phoenix at the time, but I traveled to Las Vegas, and there were some casinos that had HPE MSA storage, and I know it was really efficient, small. The CapEx costs were very low, and though it didn't have a great rich set of data management features, it was the right tool for the right job. And later, I worked for Nimble Storage after departing Fusion IO, and got to work with what I felt was a very revolutionary storage device. It was very small but high performance. It made things easy to manage in the same way. My previous experience with that HPE MSA at some of the casinos, the Nimble was very easy to use. It was faster than previous legacy storage that came before it, and InfoSight, which allows folk to kind of look at what their array is doing up on a web portal, was a game changer. It really made the experience great. So that's kind of kicked off my career with HPE.
And believe it or not, when you say 2014 and 2016, I'm thinking like a year or two ago. Like no, that's like 8 years plus and stuff like that. The time goes really quickly. So move us to today. How you, from now your consultative role in talking to others, how do you help them explore what really continues then to have HPE stand apart there? Is it still the ease of use? Is it still the learning curve? Because again, everything is getting more complicated. The changes are coming at us faster and faster these days. Some teams with lower headcount, harder to keep up with all those changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what HPE really do absolutely fantastically are the right tool for the right job. They still have, the Electra series, the 5,000 hybrid arrays, where a lot of folk have kind of moved off to all flash only. HPE have given choices, right? You have the 6,000 for the all flash. The 5,000 series continues the legacy tradition that Nimble started, but brings in more performance. And InfoSight is still, fantastic for seeing the telemetry and how your VMs are doing and how your storage is doing. And people who have it are very pleased with the whole experience. From the performance to the ease of management. So these things are still very much, here it is 2023, still absolutely done strong by HPE.
There are times that I get out in the world and do talk to individual customers and IT teams. And one area that we all get the shivers on is change. And when it comes to changing anything around our storage, we also get maybe a bigger shiver now and again, because if something goes wrong, right, data is at risk, and that's the lifeblood of our organization, as we've alluded to. So for a team that is not an HPE shop yet, they haven't gone down this road and explored, how do you and the team at IVOXY come in and help them evaluate and kind of maybe put a plan in place to evaluate if some of these tools from HPE would be right for them, and then eventually go down that journey and go down that path?
Yeah, so we have a very kind of agnostic procedure for determining how to put your data, your company's data, the lifeblood of the organization, on the right infrastructure to get the job done, to make sure you're protected. Our mission's all about availability and protecting your data. So, we usually start out by identifying applications. What's tier one, right? The most critical applications in your enterprise. It might be ERP or CRM. It could be core databases, and it could be a lot of custom applications, right? So identifying those tier one, tier two apps, maybe even identifying a few software as a service pieces that integrate into that. So maybe use Salesforce or other things, and that's the first step. Just knowing what you have out there application wise, and then figuring out the SLAs for those. Is it okay to have data if something were to happen, a natural event, an unnatural event, some kind of disaster recovery scenario comes into play, some business continuity scenario needs to take action. What do you need to roll back to? Do you need 0 transactions lost? Are you a bank, right? So that might affect what your solution looks like to home those applications on the right piece of infrastructure. Maybe it's okay to lose a day or two. So maybe you talk about it, asynchronous replication and things like that. So we identify those SLAs, with you. and the customer that's looking to bring resilience to the storage side. And then we'll align those two things. So align your application to the SLA, and there's various vendors and different, even within HPE's storage family, different solutions that kind of align to those SLAs. And we're happy to help. IVOXY are absolutely happy to help with assessing those things, the applications and the SLAs in the organization is something we do called a DR assessment. So that's how we help our customers.
Do you find the teams that not only have their data storage experts, more IT side, but also that bring in some maybe of their business stake owners to really determine what is the most important and what are those SLAs we need? Are those the ones that typically then can have better success as opposed to just making this a strictly IT conversation?
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing about being an independent, consultancy, right? We have the ability to put together, the technologists in an organization, the IT folk that keep the lights on and are doing their best to just, deal with the onslaught of these new applications, the data coming in. But we also have the experience and the gravitas to reach out to the folk in the business organization that maybe previously weren't engaged directly by IT. We put these parties together in a room or a virtual room, as the case may be, and really suss those things out. And that's one nice thing about being a consultant. You can walk in there and make everybody get a solution for everybody.
And then you can reach out to the HPE team and those folks either on the Nimble side or Electra or others and bring them in as something is being formulated there and keep them that whole teamwork going on. So, hey, Neil, really appreciate it. Again, folks, hitting a little bit of the importance of data storage management now, right? Not forgetting about it. We heard some experience from Neil on kind of where he tapped into that and where he sees HPE now as still a leader in that space. A little bit about the kind of consultative role that he and team can bring to you. If you want to learn more about data storage management, again, these HPE tools, Electra and Nimble, then we got a couple of things that we can do for you. One, we'll point you to IVOXY.com. So very simple to get a lot of information online. And then if you want to really further the conversation directly, sales at IVOXY.com, IVOXY.com. With that, we're going to wrap things up for this chat. Neil, really do appreciate it. Folks, thank you for taking time to join us. And we do look forward to talking to you all down the road.